Hi everyone, it's Kelly here. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing something a little bit different. I am going to be putting on my teacher librarian hat, which is another part of the job that I do on my day job. And I'm going to be reviewing some recent Australian children's books just in time for Christmas to give you some ideas for things you can buy for the little people in your life. And also just to share with you some authors that are doing amazing things that you may or may not have heard of. So today I'm using this. This is the Kids Reading Guide 2021 to 2022. And this is essentially just a catalogue of current releases that is put out by the Australian Booksellers Association. And I will link below to where you can have a look at this guide if you want to see some other recommendations and perhaps look into some other things that might interest you or the small people in your life. So I went through and selected from this catalogue some books from authors that I know of and already love one of their other works, or maybe more than one of their previous publications. And I went out and I have acquired these new books that have been put out by several of these authors. And that's what I'm going to be showing and reviewing today. But I'm also going to be showing you some of their other publications as well, or the one that I really like or love that I think is also an awesome recommendation. So that's our Bible for today. And we're going to be looking at some new children's books. All right, we're going to start with a book for the very little people in your life. So a board book, that's what we call them here. I don't know if that's what they're called everywhere else. And it is called Rhyme Hungry by Antonia Pesenti. Now, I loved a previous publication called Rhyme Cordial, and I bought this for my little nephew when he was very small. And the thing I love about these is it's wordplay. So alarm clock, alarm croc, and the illustrations are just beautiful. Absolutely stunning. So that was Rhyme Cordial, which we loved. So as soon as I saw that there was something new out by this author, I was like, yep, sign me up. I'm getting it right now. So I purchased Rhyme Hungry today, actually. And it works the same way. So it's the exact same sort of format, just more wordplay. So I would definitely recommend this. The only thing that bothers me is why do they not match? That's a bother to me, because now they're going to sit on my shelf and look stupid, even though, or that they're not a matching pair. Just publish them the same size, guys. Come on. Anyway, still recommended anyway. For the very little people in your life, Rhyme Hungry by Antonia Pesenti. And the thing that I really like about this, putting my teacher librarian hat on, is that how valuable wordplay is for little children. So just sort of listening to and appreciating language and playing around with it. And when we were reading Rhyme Cordial to my little nephew, we always used to make it like, what? Every time it'd switch over. So it'd be garden fresh peas, garden fresh bees. And he loved it. And so then when he was citing it back to us, he'd also put on the voice. It was cute. It was super cute. Anyway, Rhyme Hungry. Highly recommended. All right. Next, we're going into some picture books. And this is sort of where I focus the bulk of what I'm reviewing today, of fiction picture books for a range of ages, I guess. So we're sort of looking anywhere between sort of your preschoolers or your, sort of 3 to 4 year olds up to your older children, sort of maybe 8-year-olds or so. That sort of period where they still enjoy sort of sitting down for a picture book. So the first one, and this is actually the image from the front of the guide comes from this book, which is called Tomorrow is a Brand New Day by Davina Bell and Allison Colpoys. Allison Colpoys is the illustrator, and I have 100% loved everything that this combo have put out before. So they actually have, I believe, only 3. So if there's another one that someone knows of that I don't know about yet, please let me know. But I own all of them. So we'll go from the oldest to the most recent. So this, I believe, was the first one that they put out together, called the Underwater Fancy Dress Parade, which is all about a little boy who he has a fancy dress parade at school the next day, but he's very anxious about it and ends up sort of not feeling confident enough to go. So it's sort of like a little, very gentle story about a little boy who is feeling anxious, and it's actually lovely. And I just love the color palette that Alison Colpoys has used here for this book, and the illustrations are just gorgeous. So there he is in his little starfish costume, feeling not very brave, not brave enough to be Captain Starfish. And then they go to the aquarium and sort of get a bit of perspective. It's beautiful. Then they came out with this one called Under the Love Umbrella, which I think is probably one of their better known ones. So if you've heard of this duo before, it's probably because of this book. And it's just gorgeous, just absolutely fabulous. So again, we've got this really beautiful color palette from Alison Colpoys, but also just a lovely little story about how much a child is loved even when they're not with their grown-ups. So it's, just a lovely little just a lovely little story. I'll just read the first little bit to you because it's beautiful. Up in the sky amongst the stars, there's something you might not see, but over your head and just above, there's an umbrella of my love, to show it's you I'm thinking of wherever you might be. So just a beautiful little story of all the situations where, you might not be with your mum and dad, but just to know that their love is still there with you. It's really sweet. So that one is gorgeous. And then they came out with this one called All the Ways to Be Smart, which, again, we've got some of these recurring characters that sort of reappear throughout their books. But it's, again, just a gorgeous, beautifully illustrated book all about, that being intelligent is not just about academic intelligence, but there's so many different ways that you can be a smart person. So again, it's just this really uplifting kind of, smart at matching shapes in pairs like hexagons and big blue squares, counting all the way past 40, being sorry when you're naughty, smart at bugs and squeezy hugs and mixing potions up in mugs. So, just a beautiful little exploration of, intelligence and that it's not just about being academic. That's one way to be smart, and there's lots of different ways. So as you can see, these guys are just, they're putting out some really good quality content. So I was very, very excited when I discovered that this existed, and was very keen to get my hands on it. So this one is all about when you make a mistake and just sort of giving that reassurance that you're still loved and that tomorrow is a new day and you've got the chance to fix things if you've broken things, or you've got the chance to make up with a friend that you've had a fight with, or to say sorry, or those kind of things. So it's, again, just that gorgeous. This one is I think a little bit brighter than in terms of the color palette than some of their other things, but it's equally gorgeous. Perhaps you didn't mean to make that quite unfortunate mistake, or maybe you were feeling mad and were on purpose very bad. So I just think Davina Bell has a really lovely way with rhyming stories, and it's perfectly complemented by Alison Colpoys' illustrations. So, you know, just sort of exploring some of those situations where, you know, because kids get these really big feelings and find it really tricky to express them. So to me, in terms of a recommendation, I would say this is the kind of book that would be good to have on hand. So perhaps it's not a, you know, every night kind of story, but it's definitely the kind of thing that you'd like to have for those moments where something's gone wrong and you want to just have something on hand to be able to pull out and reassure via the medium of story, reassure your child or, you know, your little person in your life that tomorrow's a new day and you've got the opportunity to change things. So I would recommend this. I don't know that this is a for everybody recommendation, like as in a Christmas recommendation, but I would definitely recommend this duo. They are a force to be reckoned with, and I think we've got lots more coming from these two because it's hit after hit in my opinion. So that's Tomorrow is a Brand New Day by Davina and Allison Colpoys. Okay, before I make my stack of other books too tall, let's pull out one that's for quite little people. This one is called Jumping Joeys by Sarah Allen, and she is both author and illustrator. As I say to my children in the library, if you only see one name, that means they've done both of the jobs. Beautifully illustrated. This is another little rhyming story, and this one is all about marsupials, I believe. Australian marsupials. Yeah, marsupials of Australia. So it's just a lovely little rhyming tale about animals, and also it's informative as well. So we've got big feet bounce in the twilight, Joeys appear from out of sight, and then I don't know if you can see that there, but it tells you the name of the animal and their Latin name, or their, what is that? I was going to say their medical name, but that's not right. Their scientific name. Wombats trundle off to graze, sugar gliders leave their drays. So it's giving like a building vocabulary about marsupials. So from a teacher's point of view, this is a great book for building the field, but also just as a little rhyming story. It'd also be a nice little nighttime before bed read, I think. And the lovely thing about this one is that it's also got information about those animals at the back, and it gives you some facts about them, like for example, just interesting things they can do, or things. Oh, we've got cat. Interesting things that they might be known for. For example, yellow-footed rock wallabies can bounce up and down rock faces even in the dark. Clever. So Jumping Joeys is a recommendation, I think, probably best suited for quite young readers, I think, but it would also be a lovely story for older readers too, who still enjoy a nice bedtime story. My favourite book of Sarah Allen's, which is in, I think, the same series, as you can tell from the graphics. Cat getting a little bit brave there, is called Busybeaks, and this came out, I think, last year or the year before. It was nominated for the Children's Book Council of the Year Awards, which I've mentioned in a previous video. Just realised my book is a bit dirty. In a previous video, because it's our, like, in Australia, our big awards for children's books. So this was a nominee. It didn't win, but it was my choice, my favourite of the nominees for the early childhood, because as you can see, it's just gorgeous. And this one is about the sounds made by Australian birds. Cockatoos screech across morning skies, the warble of magpies not far behind. It's just lovely, and the illustrations are absolutely gorgeous. So that's another one you could keep an eye out for, Busybeaks, and the new one called Jumping Joeys. Now I can't continue adding to my my little stash there, can I, Xanthi? No? Right, well, I guess I'll just pop it here. Okay, the next one is called Where Are You Magoo by Briony Stewart, again another author illustrator. And Briony Stewart, again, this was also a nominee, and it was I want to say this was one of the ones that was a highly recommended. It didn't win in that exact same category as Busybeaks. It didn't win, but I think it may have been highly recommended. I'm not 100% sure about that. I hope I'm right. So We Love You Magoo is absolutely gorgeous. It's about this cheeky dog. Breakfast time, 1 egg or 2. So he's trying to eat people's food. No, Magoo, this is for you. And it goes on like this. Magoo just sort of taking liberties, and his owners putting him back and saying, no, 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 no. This is where you go. So yeah, this is beautiful, and I would 100% recommend this. This is another one that I absolutely loved from Briony Stewart. Looking at the new one though, is called Where Are You Magoo? So this follows a similar sort of pattern of Magoo being quite cheeky. So it's, Magoo, Magoo, where are you? Out in the garden next to the shed, under the clothesline in my new bed. And lots of gorgeous like illustrations to give you extra clues as the reader as well about the meaning of what you're reading. Magoo, Magoo, where are you, Magoo? Here in the kitchen beside the bin, checking out all the snacks you threw in. So he's just a cheeky dog. So if you've got a dog lover in your life, this is one that I would certainly recommend because it's just cute and gorgeous. Next recommendation is this one called We Found a Cat by Heidi McKinnon. And before I show you We Found a Cat, I'm going to show you my very well-loved by my class last year book, also by Heidi McKinnon, called I Just Ate My Friend, which is about a monster who has just eaten his friend. And he is then looking for a new friend. Oh, no, hello, would you be my friend? No, you are too big. Hello, would you be my friend? No, you are too small. You are too scary. You are too slow, etc., etc. It's cute, and there's a little unexpected twist at the end. So that is a recommendation. We Found a Cat is the new one from Heidi McKinnon, and it's all about you can tell, some good clues in the pictures and the end papers, and sort of just talking about the features of a cat. So from a teacher's point of view, I would recommend this one as if you're exploring features of living things, something like that. Look, we found a cat. Are you sure that's a cat? So it's sort of this build up. Grrr, cats have whiskers and love to purr. It has to be a real cat. Has to be a cat. It's a very loud cat, and so on. So we sort of just get these children sort of going, yeah, but it's this. It's clearly a cat because it does this, and this very skeptical little friend down here who's are you sure? Very cute. And again, we get a lovely little unexpected twist at the end of the story as well. So again, great for your early readers, sort of your, I would say, little ones up to bigger ones. I think these books have a lot of appeal. And as with I Just Ate My Friend, also good for your lower level readers too, who are sort of still learning to read, because they're not necessarily completely decodable, but they're accessible for those kind of readers as well. All right, so one more to go. So this one is more, I decided I wanted to show you something as well that was from a different sort of category. I just realized you can't see those. Sandy, what are you doing to me? How's that? A little bit better. You can't quite see them all. Maybe I'll switch some of them around. So I've got one more recommendation for you. How's that? There we go. That's a bit better. one more recommendation for you, and that's called Let's Eat Weeds, a kid's guide to foraging, which is by Raser-Rowland and Adam Grubb, and illustrated by Evie Barrow. Now, I've had for years this little book, this is for grown-ups, not for children, called The Weed Forager's Handbook, a guide to edible and medicinal weeds in Australia, by the same authors, Adam Grubb and Raser-Rowland. So when I saw that this, they had made a children's book, sort of, it's not a children's edition of this book, but they have selected some easy to identify weeds to include in this little edition. Now, this is definitely for your older readers, not so much for your little ones, because you certainly don't want little children eating things that they aren't necessarily very good at identifying. So I would say this is sort of more for your maybe minimum 7 to 8 year olds, and then up into older readers. It's got a lot more text in it. This is just the introduction, but then it's got little illustrations and text here. So I'd say this is sort of more aimed at your older readers if they're reading it themselves. I have learned something from reading this book. I have weeds in my backyard, as pretty much everyone does. I have been identifying a particular weed in my backyard as dandelion that I actually think, and I'll have to confirm this when it's light out, that it's actually sow thistle, because I've learnt that the difference between a dandelion and a sow thistle is that the dandelion has one flower on the stem, whereas this one, as it gets older, it grows up a big stem and it can have multiple flowers, which is, I think, is what I've got in my backyard. So I've been wrong this whole time, thinking those have been dandelions, when in fact they are sow thistles. Either way, I can eat them if I want. So I just thought that was quite an interesting little aside all about edible weeds. And they've separated in this book into a set of, I think it's 5 very easy to identify weeds. And then once you can confidently identify those, then they're like, now you're ready to read the second half of this book and learn to identify some that are a little bit more complicated to identify. So I like that they've tiered the experience of reading this book for children as they're sort of starting out with identifying these weeds, and sort of just getting them outside and having a go at identifying edible food that's growing in their backyard. They've also got warnings in here about, you know, for people who are living in the city, and also, you know, just saying it's best to do this in your own backyard rather than out and about, because you might not know whether there's poisons in the ground. Not so much, could be poisoned plants, but also just could be poisoned soil via industry or via actual attempts to get rid of weeds. So it's sort of, they're very careful about it. There's also a warning at the beginning of the book saying, you know, I'll read it to you. No guide to foraging can provide exhaustive safety information, including this one. Common sense and further research are recommended. Your safety is your responsibility, and no liability is accepted for injury incurred while using this book as a reference. So, to be clear, they're not suggesting that, you know, you should just let your kids have at it, but are definitely giving them the tools to identify. They also have a website that you can go to, which I will find for you, and I'll put it down below as well. Where are we? It's probably on the back. Nope. I'll put the link down below. They have a website that you can go to, and it has photographs as well, so you can cross-reference with the photos on the website, not just use the book illustrations as your only guide. So they're quite clear about recommending all of those things. I just saw, as I was looking at the contents, it's more than 5, so it's probably more like 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there are 8 easy weeds, and then advanced weeds, they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 advanced weeds. So let's eat weeds. I'm interested in this topic myself, but also, you know, I can think of a whole bunch of kids in my life that would be very fascinated by this, this topic of weeds being edible and sort of getting out and exploring the land around them, their backyards, the areas in which they live. So that's my final recommendation from the Kids Reading Guide 21 to 22. So I would encourage you to get out there and try some Australian books. I should say with this one, this is specific to Australia, although a lot of these weeds would be worldwide as well. But I would, so I'd probably mainly recommend this for people in Australia, but all of the rest, as you can see, would be, okay, sure, now's a good time. All of the rest of these books could definitely work for those of you who are over in other countries as well. So I'm always happy to promote Australian literature and to get some of this stuff out there into the world, because we have some amazing authors and illustrators working in Australia, and I would love to see those books taking off elsewhere, and, you know, making their way to other countries, because it's not fair for us to just hoard these people, these amazing people. They need to get out there and across the world and have their books found by other book lovers around the world. So thank you very much for stopping by today. I hope that I've been able to recommend something to you for somebody, in a little person in your life, and that you'll consider some of these books for your Christmas shopping this year. Bye for now from Kelly.